And we are here, episode 2 of the Q&A, and I really wanted to do this early because why not? I'm in the mood to do it. And so our first contender, and it's the one and only, our trooper, and he has 3 questions. 2 of them I don't know, and I apologize, and can you give me better questions that I could answer for you, because when you have situations like this, I don't know, and I'm not planning to review them, and I have no the fuck what you're talking about those actors that you recommended to me, and I'm not planning to review that show you recommended to me and you asked and all that stuff, so no. But the main question I'll answer, and I'm going to say this, I strongly disagree with you. As a big Iron Man fan, as a big Thanos, it was a great conclusion to Iron Man. And I personally think that was perfect movie to send off some of the characters. Granted, some of the characters kind of ended on a note where I wish they could have done it a lot better, but yet again, it is what it is, mainly Hulk. But it is what it is, and I really like the whole direction that they went. It was perfect. Pure perfect. And cannot wait for the future. Cannot wait to see the new Avengers. And I hope that you understand and pretty much give me better questions that I know what you're talking about, because I'm going to say this. I know that show you recommended to me, and I know about it. I really am not impressed about it. Don't care about that show. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get down to the real other questions that everyone is asking me. Okay. My good friend Tevya. He asked 5 questions. Question number 1. If you were writing Iron Man, what would you do? And would you have Tony Stark get married with Pepper like the movies? Yes, that's something I would do. I would even have Tony get a kid and him pretty much dealing with the father, because this is something that you never see him become that character. You never see that character in the comics. He's a complete businessman, makes armors for his next adventures and try to improve the next suit and going forward and saving the day, yada yada yada, all that crap. And he's always alone, and if he's not, he's always with Rhodey, and that's really it. Pepper only comes few times. Hell, Pepper was married by Happy Hogan for a time, and before that happened to where he died in the original Civil War, and then after that, Pepper and Tony start to have that little, let's just say, chemistry one another, and pretty much they kind of hooked up. So that's why the movies had them two together, but if you really did your research on these two characters, they never had, let's just say, chemistry one another. I always felt like Tony's the guy that when Marvel wants to have a love interest for Tony, it usually works. Pretty much, if you ask me, yes, I would have Pepper and Tony together because they have so much history one another. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind have a reunion with Whitney, aka Madame Mask, and pretty much you have Tony and Whitney get back together. That will be a cool concept to get back together with Tony, because that's technically his Black Cat, if you want to technically look at it. But anyway, I would have Pepper and Tony get back together, trying to work out their differences. I would even try to go introduce new villains that Tony is pushed for, and he's trying to figure out what to do. There would be drastic things I would do for Iron Man, and I would make a legendary run on Iron Man, because to me, when I read the older comics, it is something that I feel like, wow, you always wish that today's comics would have taken some liberties on having the hero get pushed to the test. Now, granted, we have that now, but it's just literally like it took an unknown writer just to do it. When you think of the best writers like Brian Michael Bendis, Dan Slott, those two writers, yeah, you had Tony get pushed, but they never ever have him truly shine as a hero. There was always something that happens. Now, granted, I'm not saying they're bad, and I really am saying they're really great. If you ask me, they're all great except Gillian's run. But the facts are, I really felt like Iron Man was truly, truly great when you go read his early issues, and when you read his books through the 90s and early 2000s. Really great stories, and I really wish that we could have seen that more often. And yeah, so thanks for the first question. Your second question is, Bendis. I know, you Tevye, you fucking guy, you pretty much, I'm gonna say this, I'm enjoying your suffering. Oh yes, Bendis, let the rage through you. Okay, so your second question is, Bendis is now, Justice League is setting up Naomi, or whatever the hell you want to call her, basically that main character that Bendis made, pretty much is the main character. Just wondering, what do you think of this run? Let's just hope it's great. I haven't read the issue, so I'll review it and you'll know my thoughts on it. And your third question is, what's your expectations on Godzilla vs. King Kong, or Godzilla vs. Kong? Absolutely carnage. I am super hype for this movie. This was the #1 movie I was looking forward to last year. I didn't care about anything else. I wanted to see this film. And I wanted to see my boy, King Kong himself, versus Godzilla. Once in a lifetime experience that you'll never forget. And I have heard about the director who did this film. He said that there is a winner, there is a fight to the death, and someone won. Now, I'm gonna go on saying this. Yes, we knew Godzilla and Kong were gonna have to team up to face Mega Godzilla, which, honestly, I thought they were gonna save him for last. Like, save him for the 4th Godzilla movie if they want to do it. But yet again, I can understand why would they introduce Mega Godzilla in this film. It makes total sense. If you're going to have one of the monsters die, it would make sense to where Mega Godzilla comes in at the point to where Godzilla and Kong are all bashed up, all fucked up, and they're tired, they're exhausted, they're just fucking drained, and Mega Godzilla just beats the crap out of Godzilla and Kong to a point to where someone is gonna unleash everything they got to destroy Mega Godzilla. Now, I have heard about Mega Godzilla on how he's defeated. I swear to God, I'm hoping it's bullshit. I really am. A fucking drink malfunctions Mega Godzilla, and therefore Godzilla and Kong fucking tag in and beats the crap out of Mega Godzilla's ass. Bullshit. Seriously, bullshit. I do not believe that at all. Anyway, hoping that's not the case. But yeah, I'm expecting a lot of things. Absolute carnage, amazing story that really groundbreaking on the characters and the lore and everything between, and yeah, and I'm looking forward to where their race, Godzilla and Kong's war, happen. Hopefully they dive into that a little bit more. So your fourth question, Tevya, who is your favorite Avenger besides Iron Man and Thor? The Vision. Pure Vision. He's this awesome character, and I really like that in the Silver Age Avengers comics, he was always, let's just say, Plan B. Now you don't see it at all. Hell, you don't barely see him at all. And it really bothers me. It really bothers me when you have a character that was there at the Silver Age of Avengers. He's not there at all. He's just not there. Granted, I'm not really happy on what they've done on Vision and Wanda. I really don't like the fact they broke them up. It's kind of stupid. But yet again, I'm not writing it. I mean, if I was writing it, it would have been fucking already on the spot. I would have had them together already. I would have had them pretty much resolve their issues. But that's just me. That's something I would have done if I was in Marvel. But besides all that shit, your fifth question is, with the multiverse being used a lot lately with Marvel and DC, I was just wondering what other related crossovers at both universe. Oh, okay. You're talking about with DC doing the multiverse and Marvel is doing the same. What crossovers that I really would have liked between of them? If Marvel and DC are gonna do a crossovers, there would be a lot of crossovers that I would want to see. For starters, John Kent meets Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. You could have it where he goes to high school and she's in the same school he's in, and then later on they both save the day, and you could have a little bit of a romance in there, if you all that shit, and you could have Miles and Nova get a little jealous, and it would just be amazing. But besides that, I also would love to see Wonder Woman with Jane Foster Valkyrie. That would be cool. And you would also have another Justice League and Avengers crossover. That would be another cool thing. And it's just a lot of stuff that I would like to see. Mainly the stuff I just mentioned. Both Captain Marvels from Marvel and DC. That would be cool. And how they even battle Shazam and the Super Skrull. That would be cool too. And you can have Billy Batson kind of have the hots to Carol Danvers. Would be great. But besides all that stuff, I mean, that's really what I would have want to see Marvel do crossovers. Would it happen? Fuck no. I mean, today's society and today's company of both sides? Hell no. Warner Brothers and Disney and Marvel and DC would not want to do it. Now, granted, it's up to them. The only way to prove people like me wrong is to have people like Jim Lee and whoever is running Marvel Comics. We're not talking about the movies. We're talking about Marvel Comics, the people who publish the books. It's their decision if they want to do a DC and Marvel comic books. But we'll see. I mean, they have hinted, both sides, they have hinted at. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But your sixth question, if Marvel and DC do indeed come together and do crossovers, would DC and Marvel would bring Amalgam Comics, which is the characters you merge together and all that stuff? Well, mate, honestly, they would have to reboot that entire universe, remake it, because some of it was fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Superman and Captain America makes sense, but a lot of them just didn't. A lot of them were just stretching ideas, and really that's it. And that's typical 90s comics, but you have people like me who really just if you're gonna do something like that, you better just redo that entire thing. That's just me. But besides all that stuff, yeah, I would be interested, but they would have to remake that entirely. Remake it to where it makes sense. Each character has a really good story, and overall, we'll see how that goes. And, yeah. And your final question, if the Ultimate Universe comes back, oh, I swear to God, the Ultimate Universe, they have to reboot that universe. Much you have loved the older continuity on DC, I love the Ultimate continuity. However, that universe was dead after Ultimatum, and the only thing that was left was Miles. They need to just reboot that entire whole universe. That's just how I would say. Take it some influence on the MCU and kind of make it a little bit better, because there were mistakes, there were ideas that were just fucking retarded. I did not like the Ultimates. I really felt like they just went too extreme, too realistic to an extent. Hulk is let's just say he eats people, which is so stupid. If you're a zombie, I could let that pass. If you're not, and you're just nothing more than a monster, I'm sorry, I think you're just pushing it way too far on the monster aspect. Because Hulk is not like that. Hulk is basically the same person, it's just two different personal traits. You get what I mean? Anyway, thank you for the questions, Tevia. Going on, the next person that asked me questions, and my good friend Rin, and he has 5 questions, and those 5 questions are: question number 1, how would you make the DC universe if you had to reboot it? Or if you were optioned to reboot it? I would have to scrap everything. I would have to tell Warner Brothers, pay off all the actors that you have in contract. Cancel the projects that you have. Cancel the projects that you have and reboot everything. Because what you have is a fucking joke. A joke of a universe that really no one's going to take too seriously. And what I would do is I would have 5 movies. And I would take similar styles that what Zack Snyder would do. And that means I would introduce Batman later. I would introduce Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman and Superman would be the first ones. And Wonder Woman would have the origin to where she was, and this is a young Wonder Woman. I would have where she's in her 20s. Like, I would have this Wonder Woman be a very young Wonder Woman. Basically, she is seeing things for the very first time in the modern era. There wouldn't be a timepiece to where she's at World War II or she's at the 80s and this and that. People don't really give 2 fucks about. I mean, granted, the first time is one thing, but doing that for a sequel and then a third film, more likely, yeah. But besides all that stuff, I would have a young Wonder Woman. I would have Superman to be a little bit older. I would have where he already fought General Zod. He's done dealing with Lex a few times. Very experienced Superman. And I think that would be really cool and really badass. And he has his relationship with Lois. And Lois is pretty much your typical news reporter in the Daily Buellberg. And I would have the Daily Buellberg pretty much be like a news channel. And I would go forward on that direction. Much on how Marvel is doing with Jameson, making him to be an internet sensation, and you go forward with that direction and stuff like that. Batman would be very easy to do. He always feels that the world is best to have non-superheroes. but he's working with the superheroes because he feels like there are higher beings than these people. He knows if he had it his way, he could easily take them out all in one plan. He knows exactly what to do. He knows exactly where he needs to go. That's how cocky this Batman is. Like, I would have where this Batman is a very cocky, a little bit an asshole, and this Batman has done some shit that you would not believe. Like, I would have where he has almost to a brink of killing people a lot of times, and you have Batman get called out, Alfred or Robin, and I would introduce Robin into where he's kind of like the Spider-Man of the MCU, basically copy and paste. Pretty much you have Dick Grayson like the direction on Batman, and he's a fan of Batman, and he pretty much loses his parents by Two-Face and Scarecrow, and Dick Grayson wants vengeance, and you could have Batman try to control what Dick Grayson does, and you see that line of what Batman is doing, and you eventually see Dick Grayson pretty much put two to two together and realizing that he's been holding him back, but also controlling what he does and what he thinks and everything between, and that eventually have him pretty much leave him, and he goes become Nightwing later on. That's what I would do. And as for the Justice League, it would just be an evasion movie, and you go forward from there. I feel like DC's movies need a massive reinstruction of their own universe and their own movies, because there needs to be TV shows, and whatever, comic books, whatever it needs to be done, it needs to be done. And I feel like DC would never, ever, ever do that if you don't have people like me come take over. Because if I was in office, I would give Zack Snyder his movies, and I would reboot the universe after that, because this universe needs a massive reinstruction of the entire whole thing, and I would cancel almost all the projects that Warner Brothers / DC is working on. That means animated movies, animated cartoons, TV shows, everybody. Because it's pretty bad when you have your own TV shows do good than the fucking movies. And, yeah, that would be, unfortunately, canceling Young Justice, Titans, Doom Patrol, and everything else. And also Superman and Lois. That would be also another thing. But, yeah, anyway, let's go on your second question. What got to me into Iron Man? Well, my dad and the cartoon of Iron Man. And that was the first thing that got me into Iron Man. And those were my first words, by the way. Iron Man. There was no dad, there was no mom. Iron Man. Those were my first words, and I was an Iron Man fan for life. So, yeah. If I was hired for DC and Marvel, which character would it be, and what would you want to do? Well, I would want to do, for Marvel, I would want to do Iron Man and Miss Marvel. That'll be the first two characters I would want to do. And I told this to my friend that pretty much what I would do for Iron Man is I would have Iron Man make a Iron Man suit, and then eventually it gets stolen, and you find out, oh yeah, the main villain, it's Tony Stark's kid, and you find out all this big revelation, and you find out why is he doing it, and then later on, Kamala Khan's fucking family get killed, her boyfriend is in a comatose state, along with her idol, and she doesn't know what to do. She eventually takes the mantle of Captain Marvel later on, and then later on after that, Tony adopts her because her family got fucking taken away in a horrific accident, and it's all his fault. Kamala Khan doesn't want to trust Tony Stark because it was the reason why he made that suit. He's the reason why that suit exist. He's the reason why that kid stole that Iron Man suit, destroyed New York City, pretty much caused a lot of villains and heroes to pretty much die or get injured. Millions of lives got killed. All that shit, that's what I would do. And you would have a massive redemption arc and also depression arc for Kamala Khan. And pretty much she later on gets a brand new costume, and Carol Danvers is proud that she is a better superhero and also a better person. And eventually, Carol Danvers adopts Kamala Khan. I would have it where Tony kind of passes the, let's just say, the one that takes care of Kamala Khan. And it's a really good arc for Kamala Khan, because you see Kamala Khan very differently in my eyes to where the direction that she needs to go. Now, granted, knowing the people of today, ooh boy, people would fucking hate me. People would say, you ruined my character. You took everything about her and just stripped her out. Yeah, I did. And I stripped her because she needed something more. Look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Iron Man, they lost their love interest, they lost their people that they care about, and they grow, they evolve to become something more, especially Spider-Man. Spider-Man lost Uncle Ben. Spider-Man lost his love of his life, Gwen Stacy. And I don't give a damn who anyone says. Mary Jane was only damage control. 30 issues of depression. And you're telling me, oh yeah, boy, I'm glad to see you, Mary Jane. Fuck no. Hell no. They only did that shit because they fucking wanted to play damage control. That was it. That was really it. And, yeah. What do I think? The Power Rangers comics, they're great. They're amazing. That's all I'm going to say. How would you write Supergirl in HBO Max? Oh, God, I would fucking do what they're doing with Stargirl. Complete reboot that character. Get an actress that's 16 and early 20s. That's what I would do. And have a teenager setting, have a point to where she goes around on high school settings, but also she does things fucking crazy. Take influence on the Jeff Johns Supergirl run, take influence on the New 52, and also a little bit of Rebirth and shit like that. And also do new stories to where she falls in love with a kid and they both like each other, all stuff like that. And you go forward and you talk about the depression, how she has to live with the fact that her family and her friends in Krypton are gone. Complete missed opportunity on the CW show. Complete waste of potential. They wanted to do a Superman show, but they had Supergirl, so they just did Superman stories, and they just did with that. If they really wanted to do an evil version of Supergirl, they could have just taken the dark Supergirl storyline and go forward with that whole thing. But instead, they didn't do any of that crap, and they just did some bullshit and take some influence on Superman Red Sun and other Superman stories that I'm like, why don't you just do a Superman show, really? Why don't you? And now you gotta be fucking grateful that you do, because if I had it my way, you would never get it. Anyway, but besides all that stuff, I really like Superman and Lois. Great show, phenomenal show. Hopefully they keep it up, and I know I'm behind, but I'm gonna wait for the 5th episode to come out and then fucking review them all. Anyway, thank you for the questions, and we go down to our next contender, Anthony, and he has, what's your thoughts on what do you think about the trauma movies? I'm sorry, I have no idea what is that. And your 4th question, I have no idea what's that either. I'm sorry, I've never heard those movies. I have never heard of them. Sorry. Your 3rd question, what movies are you expecting for X-Men or Fantastic Four. Well, for X-Men, they got a massive explaining to do. That's all I'm going to say for X-Men. Fantastic Four, introduce them into Quantum Realm and pretty much have them have their origin pretty much established in the 60s, to where Reed Richards and his team were studying, and they were pretty much studying the Quantum Realm with Hank Pym, and pretty much you go forward with that direction, and you could establish after Hank Pym got the stuff that he knows about the Quantum Realm. Let's just say you could have it where Reed and Hank had let's just say a disagreement, and they had a falling out, and they went on their separate ways, and you go forward with that direction, and you could have something happens to Fantastic Four, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Realm pretty much goes forward, and you can go that direction. I'm expecting a lot. I'm expecting a family. I'm expecting a lot of things. And number two, your second question, what MCU Netflix show would you bring? Probably Punisher, because I like that show the most. Besides that, I would bring Daredevil, but I would reboot the whole show. I'm sorry, that show was great on its own legs, but did it really connect to the MCU? Did it really felt like this was a part of the MCU? No. And I'm sorry, it's not canon in my eyes. I look at the Netflix shows as its own separate universe. Kind of like what I think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought that was a complete waste of time. You didn't have none of the actors, except for Nick Fury, to come into the show. The show was more of Quake than anything. And when it got to be good, it was only time where Ghost Rider showed up. My favorite Ghost Rider. My definitive Ghost Rider. And granted, there's other Ghost Riders that I do love. But, yeah. But I'm just saying, the Marvel shows pre-MCU takeover were not really canon. And they're great. It's just, I'm sorry, I don't see them fitting in the MCU. You would have to reboot that show and reboot that entire whole show. As much as I love the actor who plays the Kingpin, oh my god, he was perfect. Perfect casting choice. Perfect job on the way he betrayed that character. Absolute greatness. I wanted him to be in one of the Spider-Man films, and granted, there's still good hope that they could just wiggle it in and just say, oh yeah, it happened, but it just happened in its own little bubble, like with Spider-Man. Like, we still don't know Spider-Man's early years in the MCU. But I digress. Anyway, it is what it is. I would bring back Punisher because it was dark. It told a character that really got the character what it needed to be. Yeah, they made him a little bit sympathetic, but besides all that stuff, I personally liked what they did with Punisher and Daredevil. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I would just bring back Punisher, just in my taste, but knowing Disney and Marvel, they would have to reboot him and kind of change his character to an extent, because he's a guy that pretty much hunts down criminals. He's a guy that breaks the law. He's a criminal as well. Punisher is a criminal. And people say, oh, why don't you just give him the War Machine suit? That's only further the enhance of what Punisher would do with that War Machine suit, and we saw that, and it was such a bullshit fucking storyline when he met Iron Man, and oh wait, let's have Iron Man face the Punisher with the War Machine suit. Yeah, that's gonna be great. Let's have him pretty much get defeated 2 seconds, because Iron Man built that suit, and he had a fucking password, and to where every time when Tony and Rhodey fought, Tony always shuts down his suit because it was a trump card. It was something that Tony knew in case anyone took one of his Iron Man suits, he could shut it down. That's where it should have happened in that fucking issue. But no. Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. I'm sorry, guys. I had to rant about that crap. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just... I don't want to see that. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think that would just be stupid. Your next question and final question: what do you watch in Wednesdays? NXT or AEW? If you don't see the banner on my channel, it's AEW. All Elite Wrestling. Why? I'll tell you why. Let's see here. The wrestlers that I love in WWE are long gone. Long gone. They're either retired or they're just part-timers. And the way how Vince has done on his company, the way he's done on his wrestlers, I wonder how long is these wrestlers are going to keep on going? How long that these guys are going to keep on going forward on this shit? Because I'm sorry to say this, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. I mean, the way I see it, AEW does a lot of great things. Now, granted, they have problems too. I'm not saying they're fucking sunshines and rainbows. They do have problems, but compared towards WWE, it's fucking heaven. I'm sorry. When you have wrestlers putting their career on the line, it really shows how much you truly are invested on them. And I really think they have a lot of great things. Even their women's division, as bad as it is, they have some great stuff. I like a lot of the female wrestlers, even though I think they need to have a lot more better work on them. But, I mean, compared towards NXT, why should I watch NXT? Give me one good reason. Oh, it's better than Raw and SmackDown. The way NXT is made, it should be Raw and SmackDown. But the way it has been disrespected, hell, the wrestlers don't want nothing to do with Raw or SmackDown, that says a lot in NXT. And the fact they're moving to Thursdays just tells me that this whole war between NXT and AEW was a joke. They lost their respect on a lot of wrestling fans. They do not give a shit about NXT. They would rather watch AEW, or they would rather watch nothing. That's how it is with wrestling fans. I watch AEW because I enjoyed what they're doing. There's a lot of things I feel like they could be, let's just say, had a lot of things, opportunity to do, but, you know, sometimes it's a missed opportunity. Maybe next time they'll do it. But, yeah, that's just how I feel. AEW does a lot of great stuff. Now, that last pay-per-view, I will say, knew a lot of shit was going to happen before it even happens. And a lot of it was predictable. Granted, I wanted it to happen that way, but it's just, the facts are, yeah, not too happy on Revolution 2. But anyway, tune in next time. Thank you for the question. I just prefer AEW over WWE. And a lot of people are hoping that WWE, when Vince gets, let's just say, unfortunately dies, maybe WWE will get better. I doubt it. I fucking doubt it. By the time that happens, Triple H will be in the same fucking boat that Vince is at right now. So that dream is over. It's over. And plus, another thing, I just want to say something even more on NXT. NXT should have never, ever, ever been on the WWE network. It should have been in the TV, in a live television programming, and it should have had an audience before AEW came along. But the fact they didn't, and the way how Vince and Bruce treat the NXT wrestlers, whenever they get a chance to get them, they fucking destroy them and rebuild them. And you always have that statement: Vince destroys, Triple H creates. That's how it is. And that's just saying a lot. And honestly, I'm going to say this right now. How long is Roman Reigns going to still be a heel? Is it going to be a short term, or is it going to be a long term? I think it's going to be a short term. Because when that happens, when he loses his title reign, that whole heel persona was fucking for nothing. Granted, he should lose at one point, but I think he doesn't have any opponents that is truly worthy. Seth Rollins? Ha! Give me a break. Give me a break. We don't need another Seth Rollins. Granted, we don't even want to have Edge to be the Universal or whatever titles they have. They should have only 2. And the Raw belt and the SmackDown belt. I mean, it's stupid gimmicks, and they're such... I'm going to say this right now. Their designs of their belts suck. I'm sorry. When you grew up with the Attitude Era, or grew up with the early days of WWE when it's golden and it's fucking shiny as fuck, and it's nicely detailed, oh man, you just drool. Oh, the juiciness. I love that AEW belt, by the way. Oh god, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, look at that belt. It's gorgeous. I swear to God, AEW should never, ever, ever redesign their belt on AEW Dynamite. Do not change that design. Keep it. If you're going to make a new belt, make something a little bit better, but keep the design that made the previous belt better. But you get what I'm saying? Anyway. But besides all that stuff, thank you for the questions. Next time, can you give me questions that I can give you a better answer, because I had to pretty much skip your first 2 questions and pretty much tell you I don't know, never heard of them. And yeah, I apologize, but that's how it is. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time on Q&A episode 3. And please give me questions that I could answer you, and pretty much that I know, or if you want to answer something that I don't know, I'll try my best to answer it. But if I don't know, I'll just say, I'm sorry, I don't know. I apologize. But anyway, yeah. I'll see you guys next time. I'm also thinking about doing a live stream on Justice League spoiler talk, because I really, really want to talk about it. Justice League. Oh, God. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Amazing film. One of the best DC films I have ever seen. Far better than Wonder Woman 84. Far better than Birds of Prey. Far better, superior than Joss Whedon's version of Justice League and Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel. I say this is one of Zack Snyder's best work. They made that movie truly amazing. And anyone says this movie is going to be forgotten, then obviously you just hate Zack Snyder, and you're part of the problem of what Warner Brothers is trying to do. Anyway, I'm sorry, I had to throw that. I'll see you guys next time.